Hey, Gallup, New Mexico, Jason with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty. And if you're tuning into this episode of Going Deep with Gallup Real Estate 101, it's because you're a buyer and you're tired of getting your butt kicked in today's market. So let's call this subject Hot Market Strategies for Buyers. All right, so let me give you the scenario here so that way we all have a clear understanding. Guys, right now in Gallup, New Mexico, there's about 40 units, all for sale, all neighborhoods, all price points. Holy cow, that's like half of what we normally have. So if you're a buyer in today's market, you're sitting there wondering, my goodness, there's all these buyers out there and there's no houses. What's the likelihood I'm going to get the house that I want? Well, that's what this episode's about today. To be sure, you and your family know a couple of strategies, and I'm going to cover 3 of them really quick, but then the 4th one is, I promise you, an award-winning strategy that's going to be sure you and your family get into the house that you want. So stick with me until the end and let's get through this thing. So, hot buyer strategies. First thing I want to talk to you guys about is time frames. You know, one of the things I'm going to encourage you as a buyer, especially at this time of year with the end of 2019, to be aware of is time frames can be a very, very important thing to the seller. And if you do a little bit of homework, you ask your buyer's agent to reach out to that listing agent and find out what is an acceptable time for them to close, and you write your offer, taking that into consideration, you are going to be in a much better position to win than if you don't. So let me explain. Typically, I teach my agents to write a contract for 60 days to close. But I want you guys to remember something out there. Some people want to close before the end of the year for tax purposes. They might want to sell their house or whatever the case might be before December 31st for tax purposes. If you find that out and ask your buyer's agent to find that out, and you can write your offer so it's closing before December 31st, it's going to make it a lot more appealing to you. The flip side of that, now, I know I sound like I have 2 personalities, guys. There's a lot more going on up there. But the flip side of this is going to be maybe somebody doesn't want to close until after the year, after the new year, for whatever reason. Who wants to move during the holidays? Well, guess what? If you find out about that, you can either do an occupancy or close later. And either way, guys, you're giving your seller what they want, which is in turn going to be something that you get, which is the house. So have your agent go and find out what the time frame that seller wants to accomplish this transaction in. It can really help you at this time of year and really put you as the first position if they're looking at multiple buyers. Number 2 I always like to talk about is earnest money. Now, somewhere along the line in Gallup, New Mexico, we got in the mindset that $500 was all the earnest money that we ever needed to get into a house. Now, guys, I want to tell you the national norm is 1% of the purchase price. So if you're talking about a $200,000 purchase priced house, and 1% of that is $2,000. Now, guys, I want to let you know, earnest money is very, very difficult to take from the buyer. As a matter of fact, if you read the purchase agreements, there are 13 different ways you as a buyer get your earnest money back. But I'm going to put you into the seller's shoes for a second. If you're a seller and you're looking at an offer, let's say you have multiple offers. Let's say you have 2 of them that you're looking at. And the first guy, the first buyer, he didn't watch this episode of Going Deep, so he has a $500 earnest money on there. Your offer, however, because you watched me and got the tip, you have a $2,000 earnest money on there. Which one is the seller going to take? He's going to accept this money because you have more skin in the game. You have more at risk if you don't perform. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, again, it's very hard to lose your earnest money as a buyer, but that $2,000 is going to look a lot better than that $500, and it's going to put you in a better position for your offer to be accepted. So let me bring you back. Contingencies. This is number 3 on our list right here, and then I'm going to blow your mind at a number 4. But contingencies right here. Guys, there are some contingencies that are optional in your purchase agreements, and let's talk about a few of them. Home inspection, right? Previous surveys, termite inspections. Let me just kind of break this down. What else do I want down here? I guess those are going to be it for now. But guys, I want to let you know, if you're going into a house and you're reasonably handy, you know, a home inspection can always be waived. And what that does for the seller is it lets the seller know something like 24% of our contracts end at the home inspection because there's more issues than what the buyer wants. But if you are looking at a really well-conditioned house, or maybe it was just inspected a year or 2 years ago, or whatever the case may be, and you can get a copy of that home inspection report, if you can waive that in your purchase agreement, guess what? It might make it that much more appealing for that seller to do business with you. Surveys. You know, guys, several years ago, New Mexico changed their laws where we can use a previous survey on a house. So if you tell a seller, hey, Mr. Seller, if you have a previous survey, let's use that one, that can save that seller somewhere around $600. They might be more inclined to use your offer if you're willing to accept a previous survey. Termite inspections. Now I'm going to let you guys know, a lot of times the termite inspections, buyers ask the seller to pay for. But there's two things about this. Number one, not every loan needs a termite inspection. And number two, it's $130. Maybe you as the buyer pick it up instead of putting it off on the seller. And that can actually be something that the seller looks at and says, hey, this person's serious. They want to help me out here. So just keep that in mind, that there's a couple of contingencies. And if you look at how you can alleviate some of those contingencies from the seller, there's a higher likelihood that they're going to do business with you instead of another buyer that's out there. But the last hot market strategy, guys, the one you've been waiting for here at the end of the video, and here we go. It's called an escalator. And what an escalator is, I'm going to set the parameters here for a second. Let's just assume that we're looking at a $200,000 house. It's priced at $200,000 as the list price. What an escalator clause is this is where your real estate agent needs to do a little bit of work. And I'm going to tell you guys, most real estate agents don't even know about this strategy. But because you guys are loyal followers to Going Deep with Gallup Real Estate 101, I'm giving you all the tricks that I have. So what an escalator clause is this. Let's say it's a $200,000 property. An escalator clause might say, our offer is $200,000. But in an addendum, you might put something that says, buyer will, if seller receives multiple offers, if the seller gets multiple offers, buyer will pay $1,000 more, highest acceptable or highest offer. So what this means, and let me tell you the strategy behind this. I teach my agents in this office, if it's a hot property and you're expecting to have $200,000 offers all over the place, go up to 201 as your offer. Because most agents stop at the $200,000 list price. So if we're in a multiple offer situation and you go at 201, you just got the house where all the other offers missed out on it. But what this clause does is, let's say you're dealing with a sneaky son of a gun like me, and I have a $201,000 offer and yours was $200,000, your offer automatically jumps up on top of mine to $202,000. Now, for an additional $2,000, you've got the house that you wanted. You might be saying, but Jason, what's the risk? What's the risk if I go up to $205,000 or $210,000, and what if the house only appraises for $202,000? Well, guess what? That still fulfills, or that still fits into a contingency where if the house only, if you're at $210,000 because of an escalator clause, and the house appraises at $202,000, you still have options as the buyer to walk away from that transaction or have the seller come back and lower their price. So the escalator clause, while it seems like it's this really audacious move, you still have other provisions in the purchase agreement that protect you as a buyer to make sure that you're still getting a good deal on the house. So pretty unusual or unorthodox tactic, but believe it or not, outside of Gallup, New Mexico, these escalator clauses are pretty common. So If it helps you get into a house, guys, that is what the intent of this video is. So this is what I want to let you guys know. If you're looking for a house, you can give me or my team a call at 505-863-4363. If you know somebody who's looking for a house and maybe they're frustrated because they're not getting the results they want, send them this video. Maybe it'll help them out. I hope you'll drop me your comments below. And guys, this is Jason with Coldwell Banker High Desert Realty. I want to thank you for tuning in. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.